Good evening, evaluators and everyone. We are pleased to present our project titled Smart Insights into Asian Tourist Arrival Patterns in Japan, a survival analysis model. Tourism is a vital sector for Japan, especially with increasing visitors from Asian countries. However, predicting when tourists arrive remains a major challenge. Our study addresses this by applying a data-driven and predictive approach. First, let's look at the problem. Tourist arrivals in Japan fluctuate significantly due to factors like holidays, weather, and festivals. These make it difficult for hotels, attractions, and policymakers to plan efficiently. Additionally, many promotional campaigns are not timed effectively because they lack data-driven insights. Tourists from different Asian countries also behave differently. Some prefer peak seasons, while others travel off-season. Finally, existing tools mostly rely on past trends rather than predictive models, limiting their usefulness in forecasting future demand. While many studies focus on total tourist numbers or economic impact, very few examine when tourists arrive. There is also limited use of advanced methods like survival analysis in tourism forecasting. Our research fills this gap by using survival analysis to predict the timing and probability of tourist arrivals, offering deeper insights into travel behavior. Our innovation is the Asian Tourism Arrival Prediction Model using survival analysis. This model allows us to estimate the probability of tourist arrival by month, identify seasonal travel patterns, compare behaviors across Asian countries, and support better tourism promotion and strategic planning. By focusing on timing, not just volume, our model provides more actionable insights.
Next, I will explain the scope of our study. This research focuses on 5 Asian countries, which are Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. These countries were selected because they consistently contribute a large number of tourists to Japan and represent important tourism markets within the Asian region. For the study period, we analyzed 2 different years. The first one is year 2019, which represents the tourism pattern before the COVID-19 pandemic. And the second one is year 2024, which reflects the post-pandemic recovery period. The data used in this study was obtained from the Japan National Tourism Organization, or known as JNTO, which provides official statistics on international visitor arrivals. By analyzing these countries and time periods, we aim to compare the arrival timing patterns of Asian tourists traveling to Japan. Next, I will explain the methodology used in this study. First, we collected tourist arrival data from the JNTO database. The data includes monthly visitor arrivals from the 5 selected Asian countries. Second, the data was prepared and organized to represent time to arrival patterns, which allow us to analyze when tourists arrive throughout the year. Third, we apply several survival analysis techniques, which is life table analysis, Kaplan-Meier estimation, and the log rank test. Finally, the results were analyzed to identify differences in tourist arrival patterns across season, countries, and visiting purposes. To better understand our analysis, it is important to briefly explain the concept of survival analysis. Survival analysis is a statistical method used to study the time until a particular event occurs. So in this study, the event refers to the arrival of tourists to Japan. There are 3 key functions used in this analysis. First is the probability density function, which shows how tourist arrivals are distributed across different months. Second is the survival function, which represents the probability that tourists have not yet arrived in Japan by a specific month. Third is the hazard function, which measures the likelihood that tourists will arrive in a particular month, given that they have not arrived earlier. So these functions help us understand seasonal travel behavior and identify patterns in tourist arrival timing.
Alright, for this part, I will explain the overall data analysis used in this study. This study applies lifetime data analysis to examine the timing of the tourist arrival from 5 Asian countries to Japan, which are Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Philippines. In this analysis, we use life table that include 3 important functions. First, FT represent the monthly probability of tourist arrival. This tells us how arrivals are distributed throughout the year. Second, ST. ST is the survival probability, which refers to the likelihood that tourists have not yet arrived by a certain month. And lastly, HT represent the conditional probability of arrival, meaning the likelihood that tourists will arrive in a specific month, given that they have not travelled earlier. Using these three measures, we can understand three key aspects. First, the probability of arrival. Second, seasonal pattern across months. And lastly, the differences in travel behaviour between countries. Overall, this analysis helps us identify when tourists are most likely to visit Japan and how their travel patterns vary across different countries. Next, I will explain the seasonal arrival patterns based on the probability density function, FT, for the years 2019 and 2024. From both graphs, we can observe that tourist arrival remain relatively low from January until around September. There is also a noticeable drop during the summer month, especially in July and August, which indicate lower travel probability during this period. However, starting from October, there is a sharp increase in tourist arrival, with the high peaks occur in November and December. This pattern is consistent across most countries, showing that year-end holiday strongly influence the travel demands. Although all countries follow a similar trend, there are slightly differences in the timing and magnitude of peaks, which reflect different travel preference among countries. In conclusion, tourist arrival to Japan are highly seasonal, with the strongest demand occur towards for the end of the year. Now, I will explain the differences in travel behaviour across countries based on our Kaplan-Meier analysis for 2019 and 2024. Starting with winter, we can see that all countries show very similar pattern. This suggests that the travel behaviour during winter is quite consistent across countries, with no major differences in arrival timing. Moving on spring, Thailand stands out. Tourists from Thailand tend to travel earlier compared to other countries. This is shown by the steeper decline in the survival curve, indicating earlier arrivals. For summer, Indonesia shows a stronger travel trend. In both years, especially in 2024, Indonesia has a steeper drop, meaning tourists arrive earlier and in higher concentration during this season. Next, in autumn, we observe that Malaysia and Singapore have slightly delayed arrival. Their curve declined more gradually, indicating that tourists from this country tend to travel later compared to others. Overall, the key takeaway is that while winter behaviour is similar across all countries, differences become more noticeable in spring, summer and autumn, particularly with Thailand early travel pattern and Indonesia's strong summer trend.
Based on the graph patterns, we can see that there is a post-pandemic changes from 2019 with the 2024. First is its distribution of travels shows greater variation. The second one is travel patterns become more heterogeneous between countries and seasons. And lastly, tourism demand become more stable throughout the year. Based on our research for this topic, we found that there is three external factors affecting tourism arrival patterns to Japan from these five countries. First is seasonal festivals in Japan. In winter, they have snow festival, they have ice festival, and then they have illumination like Shirakawa-go special illuminations in Gifu. And then for the cultures, there is New Year's celebrations and also coming of age there. And also, there's Grand Sumo tournaments in Tokyo. In spring, they have cherry blossom event, or what Japanese call as Hanami, in Ueno Park, Tokyo. And also, they have Anime Japan, they have Wisteria festivals, and also in autumn, they have foliage, which is viewing vibrant autumn leaves. And also, they have festivals like Chibu Night Festival in Saitama. And on summer, they have festivals like Gion Matsuri in Kyoto, Tenjin Matsuri in Osaka, Awa Odori Tokushima, Nebuta Matsuri in Aomori. And also they have Obon, which is ancestor worship period. The second factor is tourism promotion campaign. In 2019, they have halal information or halal tourism in Malaysia. And then visitors from Thailand were record high in all of the months except June and July, boosted by extension of the air network to local cities in Japan and JNTO's effective promotional campaign. Tourism Expo Japan 2019 also was held in Osaka. And then Visit Japan and regional travel track meets. Lastly, social media and contest campaign like hashtag Japan Surprises. An increase in air seat capacity also helped the Singapore market to Japan expand with the first over 100,000 in December. While in 2024, PTA Travel Tour Expo 2024 was held on February. On March, Rakuten Group Incorporation in Japan announced that its travel reservation service, Rakuten Travel, hosted its first ever events for everyday consumers and influencers in Singapore, aimed to attract more Singaporeans to travel to Japan. And also they have hashtag Japan for You campaign on October and Visit Japan FIT Fair in Bangkok, Thailand. The last factor is currency exchange rate. As you can see here that Singapore dollar and also Malaysian ringgit increased the highest among five of the other country. Indonesian rupiah, Philippines peso, and also Thai baht also increased even by a little. So that is the factors that we found. After that, we also do the extended log rank test for these three purposes, the tourist, business, and also others. And we found that um, the chi-square value is higher than the critical value. So we reject hash now. It indicates that the survival functions of tourists, business, and others visitor arrivals between five Asian countries are significantly different. The increased chi-square values for both tourists and business shows that arrival patterns for discretionary travel become more heterogeneous across five Asian countries in the post-pandemic period, and also uneven improvement rates, difference in economic conditions, and changes in travelers' preference lead to greater divergence in the timing of travel. For the others purpose, the decreased chi-square values for other visiting purpose indicates a convergence of arrival patterns across five Asian countries from 2019 to 2024. Visits such as visiting friends and relatives, medical travel, education-related visits, official travel, and transit are generally less discretionary and more necessity-driven. Following the pandemic, these types of travel resumed in a more regulated and standardized manners, resulting in more consistent arrival patterns over time across five Asian countries.
Our model provides practical value across multiple stakeholders in the tourism industry. For tourism boards, it helps identify the best timing for promotions and target ASEAN markets during high probability travel months. For travel agencies, the model supports designing seasonal travel packages and launching campaigns at the most effective periods. For airlines, it enables better adjustment of flight capacity and more efficient route planning based on predicted tourist arrival. For policymakers, the model improves tourism demand management and help reduce overcrowding during peak seasons. In terms of innovation contribution, first, this study introduces the application of survival analysis in tourism, which is rarely used to predict tourist arrival timing. Second, it acts as a data-driven tourism planning tool, helping stakeholders make smarter decisions. Third, it provides seasonal arrival probability predictions, allowing better anticipation of tourist behavior. Looking ahead, there are several opportunities for future development. We can integrate AI-based forecasting to improve prediction accuracy. We can also develop a real-time interactive dashboard for tourism authorities. Additionally, integrating data from airlines, hotels, and travel platforms can enhance insights. Finally, the model can be expanded beyond ASEAN to global tourism markets. In conclusion, tourist arrival timing varies across ASEAN countries, and post-pandemic travel behaviors shows greater variation. Seasonal patterns remain a key factor influencing tourism demand. Overall, survival analysis proves to be an effective approach for predicting tourist arrival and supporting more strategic tourism planning.